Moving on to acting. I want to bring up Michelle Pfeiffer because I absolutely love her in this, but Kai...
No, I love Michelle
feels away?
Pfeiffer in most things. Like, she's just very watchable. She's like one of those, she has that star quality where you're just like sucked into watching Michelle Pfeiffer. And as the young witch, when she, you know, takes the little bit of the old star,
Like when she's young? Like
when she takes a little bit of the star that they have left and eats it and then becomes young again. I loved everything she did there. I also really, really, really liked her as the old witch in the later half of the movie, because I was kind of used to it by then. But when she first starts out, I think she is moving in such a way as the old witch when we first come to her. She's moving in such a way and her voice is so young that she was just Michelle Pfeiffer with some makeup on to me, because there was no sort of, the rhythm of her body didn't feel ancient to me, neither did her voice. And so I wanted more of a change so that when she is young and her voice becomes, and she's moving very youthful, then I'm like, oh, wow, okay, this lady has lived 1,000 years, you know. I, for whatever reason, and maybe it was just because I was now invested in the movie or I had accepted it or whatever, when she's the older witch at the end, there was the thing that I loved, which felt very old to me, was when at the like final moments with her where she has locked both Star and Tristan into her giant
Palace.
witch palace, that weird thing that she's doing, and her shoulders are hunched over, and every time she does this, she's like the windows are bursting out, was really cool, and she's like cackling, and like at that point I was like, oh, she's fully into this old, for lack of a better term, hag character, right? Of like, that was great. It was just in the beginning I really, it was just like Michelle Pfeiffer with makeup on.
I wonder if they shot chronologically and it was a matter of like her getting into character, like more and more as the production progressed.
Right.
I didn't catch any of that, like in the beginning.
Great.
I feel like I know now that you've mentioned it. Yeah, I do feel like she still felt very young in the beginning as an old person, and the physicality wasn't that different when she became young.
But everybody else pretty. I mean,
I kind of have a hot take.
Ooh.
I think Tristan and Yvain are the weakest of the whole cast.
They're so florally and puppy.
I will say Tristan has his moments, and I think his best moments are actually with Victoria. When he's like, I would like cross the seas for you, or I would cross the continent.
So did you not feel like they had chemistry?
Possibly, and I think it might be a Claire Danes thing, because I also feel the same way in Romeo and Juliet with her and Leo.
Interesting.
Did you feel that way at all?
Well, at first I was like, oh, are they the weakest because everyone else in the cast is so strong?
Partially that too.
I was thinking
I actually have. I don't have any notes from any other person on this cast. My favorite actor in the whole film was Billy the Goat. Like,
so good. I literally had that thought of like, this guy playing a goat is like, he is popped off. This is some good goat acting.
Yeah. This is a thespian here. This
man comes from the theater. Yeah, it was.
He is thinking about his intentions and motivations.
Yes.
He read that Uta Hagen book. He
shoot that rag like a billy goat. Billy, you get that? It was really good.
He's my favorite thing in the whole film, and I always forget that that happens.
He like jumps onto the creature
when it cuts to him, and he's just like,
yes, it's so good. Yeah, but he's really good, and so is the kid who plays the girl mute and tells the guy's name Brandon. He's like, dressed like a woman, but like for the two actors that played that one character, because I thought the gal who played the lady version of him was also hysterical. The way that she's like looking at her own breasts. You're like, oh, what is happening here? Actually, those two were probably like two of my favorite characters in the whole movie.
Yeah. They were so good. But yeah, I do think it's partially that. Like, everyone else is so good.
Like, they're in it.
Yeah, I found myself like, I kind of want to cut to like, I want to see what other people are doing. I want to see what Mark Strong is up to, or like any of the other brothers, or like.
But you have to have your like your straight man to the comedy parts, and so I think their storyline is like the straight man,
the
to
grounded.
and all the
They're
comedy
the
bits.
vehicle in which we're supposed to put ourselves.
Right.
But I feel like they did have good chemistry. I thought they had really sweet chemistry, and I like, and I don't know, I liked them when they were fighting more. I thought they were more interesting to watch. Like in the cloud where they mess up the thing, and he's like, "Oh, you stupid cow!" Like I think that was more interesting to watch than them. Like there are moments where they're like in love and it's cute, but I think them like I don't know, it just seemed it went by faster. It was more interesting when they were like.
Well, I actually had that same thought when Travis said that he specifically thought that about Claire Danes in Romeo and Juliet as well, because Claire Danes, to me, her like essence as an actor is a very strong woman who, which is why she like won a bunch of awards for Homeland, because she has that just in her bones, I think, as a human anyways. So it's, I think, I mean, I don't know how easy it is for her to access, but it feels seamless, or it feels like it's easy for her to access. And so in those moments where she's playing this pissed off strong character, because I thought the same of like when she first lands, and he smacks into her and she's like, what in the hell, you know? There's more tension and chemistry there than in any other the scenes, and I wonder if it's just a little bit harder for her to come down into the levels of like soft
kind of young girl in love kind of vibes.
I also think it partially for me, it might have been that the love happens really fast, because like they're in the cloud and they're fighting and they're like, they don't like each other, and then literally the next thing is they get captured, and then like she's glowing on the ship.
That was going to be my complaint, because this whole story takes place in a week, but that ship montage feels like it's months. And I'm like, he learns
about that.
Yeah, that timing is really weird. And it's like he learns how to be this expert swordsman, and she can dance and play the piano. Yeah, it's like it's not realistic for this to have happened in a week. And I'm also like, how
His hair
far
grows.
His hair grows. How far away were they?
Seconds.
I think, the logistics of things start to fall apart a little bit in the amount of time that, all this stuff happens.
Well, that's actually true, because I remember thinking that they had far surpassed this birthday, and that wasn't, I actually thought that storyline was going to fall completely to the wayside, because of course it's been more than a week.
Yeah, of course.
But no, he had to take back that dust.
He did.
Also, sorry, side note, Victoria being like, ew, you just brought me Stardust? And I'd be like, wait, what the? You brought me Stardust?
Yeah, like that's so cool.
True.
Yeah.
If it was
I was like,
hair,
that's cooler than the hair.
If it was just hair, then that's what I was expecting her to say. Like, hey, you just brought me some woman's old hair? Like, no, Stardust is very cool.
Yeah. Oh, I will say, I don't know if I agree with them. Well, maybe I do agree with them being the weakest. Anyway, I think that Charlie Cox's character, since we're talking about Claire Danes, I think his character, like Tristan, is so like likable and so sweet and so innocent. So much so that in my mind, I was like, oh, that's just who and how he is. So like later, when I found out that he was cast as Daredevil, I was like, bah, what a terrible cast. Like he can't be cool and like grounded. So I feel like he does a good job in Stardust playing such a buffoon, I think, in so many aspects. So
I had no idea it was Charlie Cox.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't realize it.
I didn't know who Charlie Cox was until this movie. But I've never seen Daredevil. Is Charlie Cox like in a lot of things who I should
just
know?
Daredevil.
I think it's just Daredevil that
okay.
he's like known for. And I've never seen Daredevil either. But it's like, it's actually one of the,
like him in it?
I think he's exceptional in Daredevil. Yeah.
it's actually one of the stronger Marvel properties. So I've seen like literally video essays about how the filmmaking of it. There's this one iconic scene. There's this one iconic scene that is like studied. Like there's a hallway fight that's all one take.
It goes.
And, like there's a lot of really good craft filmmaking. Yeah, craftsmanship. Thank you.
Yeah.
In that show that I think has like transcended just like the Marvel space to be like, oh, this is good filmmaking.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I knew about him. But like even watching it today, I was like, who is this person? And then I had like looked it up. I'm like, oh, it's Charlie Cox. I had no idea.
It's so weird, yeah, because they're so different characters. And so then I was like, oh, he's a good actor. You know, like, respect. Yeah.
Well, I was reading that Matthew Vaughn actually casted a nobody on purpose for that reason. Apparently, the studio really or like everyone wanted Orlando Bloom to be.
I thought of
Wow.
Orlando Bloom a couple times
interesting.
because he was like the it boy right
Yeah,
around this
around that
time.
time.
But I feel like it was too close to Pirates.
Yeah.
Like
Sure.
Yeah.
it's
They reminded me of
another
Pirates.
fantasy. Yeah, like to throw Orlando Bloom in it would have been like, but no, I don't want to watch him do that because
Yeah.
I've already seen.
Matthew Vaughn said that he wanted someone that like is a blank slate that you could.
I appreciate any filmmaker that has the
Let me
power
cast a
to
nobody.
give
Yeah.
blank slate actors. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Um,
So admirable. Yeah, that's true.
Any finishing thoughts on acting?
No, it was fun. Oh, Robert De Niro, just going back to like, he was just a peach in this. It was so much fun to watch,
So good.
watch him.
And like so like I feel like the early 2000s, you know, he was like experimenting quite a bit. Like that's where we get Meet the Parents. Like
Oh, yeah,
that's
true,
like so not Robert De Niro as
Yeah.
well.
The
lighter
back at the
side of him,
time. And,
yeah.
like,
Or maybe he had always wanted to explore those
Sure.
things, but he was capitalizing on what Hollywood saw him as. And then because he was in his older years of acting, although that
Still
has
acting
continued,
now,
yeah,
yeah.
which is great.
yeah, Bad
We-
Grandpa 2 came out.
I've never seen the back.
Me neither.
Me
Yeah.
You just saw a clip from one of our full episodes. If you want to watch the full episode, click here. And if you want to watch another clip from this same episode, click here.